Hey, welcome back to Madison, Wisconsin, the Alliant
CubeCon.
Energy Center. I'm here with the one and only Jonathan Brostoff, Andy Mangold. We're in the booth, too. You got my sweaty hands. You know, it's kind of warm in here. We're in the booth to talk about the old border foil cube. We just watched Jeremy playing a mono black with a couple splashes.
Yeah, we did.
Reanimator deck, take down round one. Now we're going to go down to Caleb Durward. We don't actually know what Caleb's playing. Caleb, last year's CubeCon champion.
The champ is back. And Caleb is playing Lewis Kaplan, another local pro here from the Madison area. Fantastic player. Both great people. Is there any particular predictions you have for the types of decks we're going to see? What archetypes would you like to see?
What I'd like to see. I mean, I love me a counter burn deck. I'd love to see that.
Ooh, we did see Prophetic Bolt.
Yeah,
So.
Prophetic Bolt was at the table going around, so maybe one of them got it. You know, I feel like Caleb is a very versatile player, able to play anything. I don't know anything about Lewis. I would guess a very versatile player too. So
Lewis, we call him Papa Bear. He's a Papa Bear
there you
player.
go. So they likely drafted whatever was best for their seat, and I'm excited to see how they
What do you think
match
would
up with
be,
each other.
of the archetypes of this format, what would be best for coverage?
Best for coverage?
Yeah.
Well, so the thing about the counter burn deck is that very few permanents in play, so much less work for me, the play-by-play commentator. All we do is count down from 20 and get those best spells counter. I see a lot of red and blue cards in Lewis's hand.
Okay, maybe he got the bolt.
Here comes an island from Caleb Durward, and we're off to the races. We do have Jeremy's match on backup here, so if we have extra time, we'll break Jeremy's match and see how that match is going.
Okay, so we're starting off with a Grim Lavamancer. Again, to your counter burn spells, is a great card for it. Caleb is also on blue. We're seeing 2 islands. Interesting. Okay, getting in for 1. Nice.
The walk of shame here for the Grim Lavamancer.
Hey, every damage counts, right?
That's a Brainstone right there.
Oh, wow.
Retroactively old border card.
Can you describe to our viewing audience what Brainstone does?
Yeah, it's basically a artifact that does a Brainstorm. It costs you 3 mana, but it is colorless. And if you have artifact synergies in your deck, then it's got some upside there. If you got your Goblin Welder or something, you can really go off with a Brainstone.
So if we see Brainstorm from Lewis, I assume that there is something to do with it. I think we're going to be good here. It's interesting, though, a blue deck playing Brainstone, when normally Brainstorm is...
Right, yeah. I think the virtue of the Brainstone is that you can play it in your mono green or whatever, and you get access to an effect that is rare for your color combination, but opting to play it in the blue-red deck right here.
And it also is a card for the graveyard for a Grim Lavamancer if it comes to that. Every point counts.
We now see Caleb adopting the Rishadan Port plan, tapping Lewis out of red mana, tapping that Volcanic Island down on upkeep. So Lewis just continuing to chip away here with this Grim Lavamancer. We've got untapped blue mirror here. Just both islands untapped on both sides of the battlefield.
And how do you feel about this particular island art? Is this your jam?
I love them all. I love all the old border foil lands.
Okay.
I think they're so beautiful. I don't actually have a particular island I love. I believe this is the beta art, right?
Yeah, the Mark Pools. I think this is B. Back then they had A, B, C art. I think this is the B Mark Pools.
We've got a Deep Analysis on the stack, and that just resolves. So 2 cards for Lewis Kaplan. Deep Analysis, a great mirror breaker in a control matchup like this.
Yes, drawing 4 cards is huge, and it is a 4-mana sorcery that target player, so you might be able to draw your opponent out, draws 2 cards. You can flash it back for 1 blue, 3 life, and 4 cards is a lot. So we have we see Ophidian. Oh, that's one of the OGs. One of my favorite cards in this era. Did you play a lot of Ophidian? It might be after your time.
No, so that's a little bit both before and after my time.
Your time is after Ophidian, I should say.
Well, yeah, I played when I was a real little kid before Ophidian, and then I quit.
Oh, you were pre-Ophidian.
Yeah,
okay,
then I quit.
So you're pre and post.
Then I came back and played since. So that's a mana war from Caleb to bounce the Grim Lavamancer. We saw Caleb opt last turn not to tap the Volcanic Island down on upkeep with Rishadan Port, but instead on end step, which is going to perhaps make it harder for Lewis to hold up interaction for Caleb's spells, using the port a little more defensively than proactively.
And we see the Prophetic Bolt in hand. Was that a Brainstorm? That is a wildly powerful card. Okay, so Prophetic Bolt on the Mana War. Do we have a counterspell here? That's my question. And it's interesting.
We have,
which is why we didn't
counterspell.
Rishadan Port. So that counterspell is like a 10 for 1. We're not getting to search through the deck for like the Impulse. We're not getting to bink the Mana War.
Tundra here too. So up to 4 colors now. I'm sorry, we just not red yet. We've seen out of Caleb. Up to 3 colors. Esper at least for Caleb.
All right, so we're in a 3-color kind of looks like value control deck so far, and Luis is up to something, but being able to counter that Prophetic Bolt is huge. What is your first Prophetic Bolt experience?
Oh, I don't remember my first prophetic bolt experience, but I'll say I love about this cube that this is the kind of cube where A, you try to prophetic bolt a Man of War. That's just a 2/2.
Amen.
Like, it matters. It matters that you are going to prophetic bolt that Man of War, so you're trying to do
Oh,
that, and then it matters enough that Caleb is bothering to counterspell it. This is what happened. Like, this is a cube where a 2/2 in play really matters. This is what these old school threats are like.
That's right. Every single point of life, all the interaction, no planeswalkers. It's all about that. So I apologize. I was saying Lewis Kaplan. I'm thinking Luis Salvato, who could not make it this year, but I believe will be coming next year.
Big
Oh,
mana.
wow.
We are seeing a
Ooh,
cycled Decree of
doggy.
Justice, making a
This
couple
is
soldiers on end step.
Caleb's favorite card in the whole cube, Decree of Justice. What can you tell us about this card?
So this card is a classic control win condition, and it's really good in the control mirror in old school Magic because you're going to cycle this and pay X to make some soldier tokens, and that is uncounterable.
That's right.
You can't counter the cycling. You could stifle it if you wanted to. So really hard to interact with, and I actually won a match of an old border cube this weekend with exactly this in the control mirror. Just cycled it, made a bunch of soldier tokens, and got in there.
And that was your main win condition?
In this particular matchup, yeah. In other matchups, I have won other ways, but in the control mirror, that was my win condition. That was all I cared about.
Nice. And yeah, we see some really powerful stuff. Basically, I would say Decree of Justice is the prophetic bolt of white. That's like, it serves like a very similar purpose to me.
That's one way to put it.
It gets you so much and asks so little. Now, Ophidian, of course, the 1/3 body is a house here, going up against 2/2s, 1/1s. What can you do? It does so much and asks so little. The snake on the take.
Now, I bet you have a lot of stories with Ophidian.
Oh yeah,
from back in the day.
Back in my day, Ophidian was all you wanted to do was mana war your opponent's creatures back and get in with Ophidian, draw more cards. It was a big part of the counter burn deck because you could wipe out your opponent's threats, get in for more cards, and you didn't have a lot of reliable card draws like that. It was a one-sided Howling Mine that could sometimes block. Okay.
I actually am trying to figure out what happened to this Grim Lavamancer. Did it swing in and just trade with a soldier?
Sometimes you gotta trade. Or else you get played.
With the graveyard starting to get filled up, I'm really surprised to see that choice from Lewis. But, of course, not sure of what all is in his hand. Mind Stone now for Caleb.
And that Phyrexian Rager is an awesome card. A really good, again, in a format where every single life matters, every single body matters. A 2/2 that replaces itself is wonderful. So we're
Flashing back the deep analysis here. So going to take 3 but draw 2 more cards. That's a clean 4-for-1
Nice.
from Lewis, which that card advantage looks like it's really going to matter in a matchup like this.
Okay, so what happened is it did interact. It did get blocked by instant speed soldiers.
Oh, this was on attack. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the update there.
Yes.
That makes a lot more sense.
So so again, Ophidian doing so much work here. It can block, it can attack, it can provide a really important threat. Why you might want to keep 2 creatures back just in case. That card draw is huge, and now with trying 4-for-1 here, Lewis is in the driver's seat. Is that a Brainstorm in his hand? Did you see Brainstorm there?
I don't know. We just saw a cycled Renewed Faith from Caleb. Great example of a card that is totally fine to main deck. You can just cycle it,
Yep.
you know, draw a card, gain a little life. But if you come up against mono red, you get to gain 6 life, and that's exactly what you want to do.
And it's another example of this sort of incremental advantage that we're seeing over and over and over in Caleb's deck. Now, most powerful example, of course, Decree of Justice, but Mana War, Phyrexian Rager, like, this is all just things that incrementally are putting him in the driver's seat and have a lot of flexibility. But also, Lewis's deck is all about card advantage.
Yeah,
So,
full grip over here for Lewis. Exactly 7 in hand.
mhm.
Can't quite tell. It looks like maybe just 3 on Caleb's side of the table, 3 or 4. This is the kind of match where, you know, the advantage is not necessarily going to be on the table. Even though we've got just an Ophidian and some lands, I would say Lewis kind of firmly in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah, and
with all those cards in hand.
another interesting thing, we see Caleb with a Mishra's Factory in a 3-color deck, which probably means the fixing's pretty good, but it's also another example of why of the flexibility you want in this format. You want cards that can do lots of things, and every single piece of value is good. So we also have Fire and Ice in hand. Interestingly enough, Lewis is not choosing to block and do the extra damage and wipe out a soldier, instead just taking the 2 every turn, which is going to add up. We see a Morph creature. What could that possibly be?
My guess is Exalted Angel. I don't know Caleb's pool, but
his second favorite card in this format.
But that is probably the best thing it could be, and my guess for what it is.
I agree. I think this is an Exalted Angel, and I think it is going to do a significant amount of harm in this game. This is pretty good. How much mana are we holding up?
We've got exactly, well, no, we got one more than flipping
more,
Exalted
just in
Angel.
case.
Yeah, you need just white 2 to flip Exalted Angel into a 4/5 with pseudo lifelink.
And can we pull Exalted Angel up?
Wall.
Oh, there
Yep,
it is.
here it comes right now.
Okay. So also, because of the morph ability, there is no response. Lewis cannot burn it with the Fire and Ice because it doesn't actually go on the stack. It's kind of a weird ability. How would you describe morph?
Yeah, it's a special action, and I think it was a decision to make the mechanic that way because morphs would be a huge liability if you could dump a bunch of mana into them and your opponent could just disfigure it or lightning bolt it in response. So
Which figure it?
disfigure.
Oh, not that figure.
No.
Gotcha.
So now we're going to see an ice on the Exalted Angel. Tap it down, draw a card, just delay this a little bit. Even though Lewis has all these cards in hand, the board presence is firmly in Caleb's favor with the addition of this Angel. We had a really slow clock before with just, the Ophidian blocking one of the Manowar or the Phyrexian Rager, but now Caleb putting the pedal to the metal, swinging in with the Mishra's Factory as well, and this Angel is going to demand an answer.
So I believe that is a Brain Freeze in Lewis's hand. It's
Brain Freeze.
Yes,
Great.
it's possible that Caleb is just dead here. That's the great thing about Brain Freeze in this format is that you can be ahead by so much.
Yeah.
But even if we're dead in like 1 or 2 turns, this might just be the spider spinning its web before the prey.
Because I'm also seeing Daze, Gush, and Frantic Search.
That's a lot.
All instants.
Yep.
Lewis can even try and daze his own spell and just pay the 1
or
if he wants.
And also not pay because you get it's a free card.
Well, right. So because it's an instant, because of the way the storm count works, if Caleb has a turn where Caleb plays 2 or 3 spells.
Okay, here we go.
We're just doing it. That's high tide. We're doing it right now.
All right, we're storming. And Caleb used his counterspell already, so we can't stop the storm.
We're paying some mana.
Tapping the land ahead of time, so losing a blue, which is really good heads-up play by Caleb. But this is huge.
We're getting to actually see what this deck is about now. It is not a control deck. We have a sort of explosive combo deck on Lewis's side of the table, looking like maybe a Storm deck trying to win with explicitly Brain Freeze.
Okay, so we've got
because Gush, Brain Freeze, Frantic Search, these are not cards that you play fairly.
That's true.
These are cards that you only think impure thoughts about when you're trying to cast them.
That's right. So we've got 1 red, 1 blue floating. That's what the 2 dice represent. The blue is just going to be hanging out on the mat for those watching. We are tapping for approximately a Kajillion here.
That's 8 mana.
All right.
And we've got some dice here keeping track of that mana.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
9 total mana in blue, and I think 1 red floated from that volcanic island in response to the Rishadan port. And that's a treachery. That's going to untap all these lands.
Wow.
What an incredible answer.
Hachi-machi.
Treachery, a control magic. It's also going to untap 5 lands.
Is that the storm count? Maybe that's storm count.
I think the second dice is storm count. We
Okay,
have 2
so
storm count at the bottom from High Tide Treachery.
Okay.
That's blue mana up top.
So it's all blue, no red mana floating.
I guess so, you're right.
Wow. This is bonkers. Okay, so this is exactly what Cube is all about. You got someone.
There's a snap too.
Oh, wow.
What did we just cast Mystical Tutor, going to get snap. Now we're going to Frantic Search. We're going to draw the snap. We're going to untap more lands. And what are we going to do with all this mana?
We are going to.
Do we have a stroke of genius or something?
We have Gush in hand. We have Brain Freeze. I think this is just it because this is not Moto, so you can't count immediately how many cards. But I think we're pretty close to just death here. I think this is it.
Caleb starting to furrow his brow.
The body language suggests Caleb knows what's up. I mean, he either has or he doesn't.
The body language suggests Caleb wishes he was doing this.
Yes. But it's interesting because even now, if that snap resolves, it's possible that we could even take one more turn, untap with a 3/4 Angel, and still just win. Even if it's not a full decking here, we might just be able to win another way. We might be able to get close enough.
Sure.
And then have a 3/4 flyer with not lifelink, but with Angel lifelink.
We can put Caleb to 2 cards in library or something.
Yeah,
and,
that could also be a line here. We could see that.
Frantic Search going to dig pretty deep here to find more cards.
So we're at 6, which is 18 because it's times 3.
Future Sight is in hand.
So currently at
pretty
18.
good thing to do with 1,000,000 blue mana is play Future Sight.
Yeah, this is
also
this
I see an Incinerate in there as well. A little bit of burn, perhaps. We could even see like an Urza's Rage, for example, out of this deck with all this mana.
We can see
make a couple red, take 10, uncounterable.
Sometimes you gotta rage. That's just it. Do be that way sometime though. Okay, we're seeing Okay, this is all over, but the Grover.
Fire Diamond on top. We'll see that played off the top.
Yep.
Huge credit to Lewis for drafting this deck. This is not an easy deck to draft in this cube. You really
No.
need all the pieces, and you got to know exactly how this deck ticks. There's Brain Feast on the stack. Storm count is 9. I'll mill you for 27.
This is pretty cool.
27, not going to be the whole library, though, I believe.
Oh, we are. It's so powerful. It's shaking the camera. This is huge.
Caleb counting Lewis's library there.
So what could Caleb have? Why he'd want to? Oh, it's nothing. It's a concession.
Caleb could
Okay.
have a reason to concede and go to game 2.
So again, that's the beauty of this cube, right? And beauty of cube in general is that things are going so far one way, and then it's just a spider setting up the web.
Well, yeah,
And
Lewis was just waiting for their opportunity to strike. I'll play an Ophidian. I'll play a couple little value things, make you think I'm playing a fair game here, but I'm not. I'm thinking next level.
just setting up every single turn. It's just one step closer, one step forward. When can I go off? And he really knocked out of the park. That was fun to see. We also are in a cube format. Normally you see Brain Freeze. You see the counterpart, Eldrazi. But there are no Eldrazi sideboard into here. It is one and done. There is no protection.
There are 2 Gaia's Blessings. There is some protection in this cube. There are 2 Gaia's Blessings, and it's a draft package. You draft
That's
one, you
true.
also get the second copy.
And that was actually that was at my behest.
Interesting. That's because of you?
Yes, that's because of me. When Jeff first presented this, this was initially presented to me by Jeff, and he said, "Well, CubeCon sounds really fun. I'd like to go there, but I would like to go if I could bring my cube and show it off because it obviously is like amazing."
Oh gosh.
And I said,
twist our arm, Jeff. Bring your beautiful cube.
well, he said, well, the trepidation was not that. It was more so that he was not sure what it would even be like to have all these people around, and it's a very expensive cube, and he just didn't want to bring it for that reason. But I told him exactly. We have a lot going on that I don't want to get into, but there's a lot of reasons why I think it would be okay to do it, and I explained that to him, and after hearing that, he was willing to bring it, and it turned out to be the hit of the season. And after showing it to me initially, he said, "What changed me?" I said, "This is beautiful, but instead of one Gaia's Blessing, I think we need 2. I think there needs to be multiple Gaia's Blessings." So that was and he abided, and I think it's a great addition, but it's just such an amazing cube. He's such an amazing guy. I'm so happy it's here, and it is one that inspired your cube, right?
Absolutely.
Can we show? Okay, is it okay to show us on stream?
If you want to, why don't you go find something to pull off? And while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about our next sponsor here. CubeCon would not be possible without the generous contributions from our great sponsors. And the next one I want to talk about is CubeHeads.
Yes.
This is a YouTube channel run by our friend and acquaintance Steve. And Steve is doing something really interesting. There's a lot of cube content out there, Jay Bro. You can find a lot of people listing their favorite cube cards from each set, talking about strategy. What there's not a lot of is people talking about the beautiful people that make up this community and telling the human interest stories behind the cube community, like Jay Bro, for example, like me. And that's exactly what Steve is doing. Steve just bought a camera this year and decided this is what he was going to do, try and tell the story of this community, and that's what he's doing on his YouTube channel over there.
Absolutely.
You can find interviews with T-Pug, who you may not know by name, but is a pillar of this community,
Yes.
organizer of the CubeBioki event here at CubeCon, owner of the Jund Cube.
Yep.
You can find interviews with... Go
And
ahead.
the Jund Cube is going to get some very special treatment later today. I'm planting the seed. Keep your eyes out for that.
All right. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. I can't wait to be
It's
surprised,
going to be
too.
amazing.
We also got interviews with Parker Lamascus, Cube Theory Extraordinaire, others on there as well. So make sure you check out that YouTube channel. It is
CubeHeads.
youtube.com/CubeHeads.
And I will say that CubeHeads was one of our first sponsors. I was in charge of
Just
sponsorship
jumped
this year,
on it.
and he was a huge supporter right away. He saw exactly what the vision for CubeCon was. That's exactly what he did. We talked last night at length at the bar, and he was saying, my vision is this community has given me so much. I want to give back to it. And I can do a lot of things in my life right now, but I want to give something of value back to the community. And that's exactly my vision with CubeCon. When I first had the idea for this, the first seed of an idea, it was only because Magic in general and Cube in specific has given so much enrichment and community to my life. And while, quite frankly, a lot of my friends were going out doing lots of drugs and engaging in really bad behaviors as youth and all sorts of other troublesome stuff, instead of being engaged with that, I was playing Magic, and I was then would matriculate to cubing, but Magic could just give me so much. And
Would you say Magic saved your life?
I don't think that's a stretch, quite
Okay.
frankly. And that story for another day. But we're back to the action. So Caleb's on the play. You know what? As Chad pointed out, it's possible Caleb was holding on to Stroke of Genius, which is especially close because the islands produce all islands
That's
with
true.
High Tide produce additional mana.
Yes.
The High Tide is across the beach.
Yes.
It's
It's
the
going to
whole-
affect Caleb's islands too, and Caleb's got a lot of them in his deck.
Yes.
So getting back from sideboarding, Caleb looks like he's going to 5. You hate to see it. Caleb just spent the last 10 minutes looking through his sideboard for any copies of Gaia's Blessing he might have to try and get to the bottom of this.
And Caleb, if anyone can pull off a 5-lander, it's him. So Gaia's Blessing, 1 and a green for sorcery. Target player shuffles up to 3 cards from the library, and then from up to the graveyard into the library, then draw a card. But if it's put in your graveyard from your library, you shuffle everything back. So it's a good way to kill the mill. We're drawing again our 7. We'll see if this is acceptable. Looks like it is. Looking for 2 to put back.
You know what? I'm going to check right now, J-Bro.
Yes.
Is Brainstone targeted card draw, which would actually allow...
Oh, interesting.
No, it is not. They don't do targeted card draw anymore. Brainstone
No.
is just you. That could have been a way that,
that's a
for
good-
example, in response to the trigger from Gaia's Blessing, trying to reshuffle the library, if Lewis has instant speed targeted card draw, can force Caleb to draw from that empty library and lose the game on the spot. But
Fantastic.
not with Brainstone, it turns
No,
out.
not, but good thinking. So we've got Merfolk Looter, which is quietly one of the most powerful cards in the format, especially if there's not a lot of ways to take care of it. This is going to let you. This might be the best turn 2 Caleb's got. This is incredible. We're back in the saddle. Even though it's a mull to 5, we're going to find our card advantage cards. We're going to find our, exactly what we need, or we're just going to beat down for 3. It also is a 1/1.
You know,
statistically speaking.
I was going to ask Jay, bro, how do you feel about looting a bunch in against your brain freeze opponent?
I think it's a very good question. I think it's the most important time to loot. Because the looting has you need to get to your answers. It's not about if they're gonna brain freeze you, they're gonna brain freeze you. You need to be able to answer it or to get ahead of time. So
a few extra cards looted away is well worth it if you can find the cards that are going to answer that brain freeze or get your opponent dead before they have a chance to do it in the first place.
That's right. Now, how has the mulligan rule affected the cube?
Yeah, so we see Caleb here on a mull to 5, which historically going to be a huge nightmare in a lot of situations. But the London Mulligan, which we're still calling it the new Mulligan rule. I think it's been 4 years now. It's been a while. Still calling it the new Mulligan rule. This allows Caleb to draw a full 7 after he's decided to keep his hand, puts a card on bottom for each time he's mulliganed. So much better for Cube and Singleton draft, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Because we just want less non-games. How do you like it for Cube?
I think it's even better in Cube in such a high variance format with such powerful cards. Usually, it's fantastic. So the Ophidian gets in for a card. Wow.
Yeah.
That is now on a mull to 5 and the extra card. That is huge.
I mean, we see Caleb going aggro here, just getting into the red zone with this Merfolk Looter, even willing to trade the crackback with the Ophidian, which is going to give Lewis Kaplan more cards. Caleb has made the assessment that this match is about me getting your life total to 0 before you get your engine together.
Yeah, it's interesting because with the crackback, we could either sacrifice the looter or double block with the Fairy Conclave, but I think it's likely we're on... Oh, there's a Terror. Never mind. There's a Terror for the air. Okay. So we have Counterspell Magic up, which if we see a Prophetic Bolt or something like that, we might want to use, but Lewis is not going to play into that. He's got too much going on. It's also interesting. We've got Brainstorm in hand and Brainstorm on the table.
Yeah,
Don't see that every
Brainstorm
day.
and Brainstone.
Sometimes you gotta double Brainstorm. I don't know. That's just what's got to be. So what's going to get us out of this? I guess a big Decree for Justice could be huge.
Decree of Justice could be a quick clock. That's true. Now, we saw, correct me if I'm wrong, no stack interaction out of Lewis in game 1, right? No counterspells, despite all his blue mana.
I do not think so. I don't believe we did, no.
That's the kind of thing that is Caleb, makes you start thinking about just hard casting that Decree of Justice, give you a faster clock instead of that relatively safe cycling mode.
That's right. And we see more islands. Every island to me looks a little bit more intimidating when we know High Tide's in the deck.
It is interesting that Lewis has opted to play the Shivan Reef. Just going to cycle that Decree of Justice for 1 here, make that 1 soldier token, which, I definitely trust Caleb's evaluation of this board state and what matters in this game a lot more than mine. There's a reason I'm in the booth.
Caleb is good at the magics. Statistically speaking, no slouch. Caleb also, like Sky, one of our previous year's Cube for Charity teammates, and just amazing person, great. The reason I'm a streamer is actually because of Caleb.
There you go.
He showed me the way.
Caleb opting to activate the Merfolk Looter now, pitch that Mana War. Not really going to matter much in this matchup based on what Lewis is up to, which is nothing nice.
The Mana War does also get back some of your ETBs. It could be relevant for that, such as the Rager or something else.
That's true.
Interesting.
Now this might be a sideboard card we see here. This is
I
Cabal
believe so.
Interrogator here.
Tell
What
us
this is
what's
going
going
to
on.
allow Caleb to do is, if he untaps with it, dump a bunch of mana into Caleb Interrogator or Cabal Interrogator, and just take key cards from Lewis's deck. Lewis opting to activate the Brainstorm in response. We're going to see perhaps one of the, in my opinion, coolest uses of Brainstorm in this match, I think, which is hiding cards from your opponent's hand hate by putting them on top of your library so you can draw them when you're safe.
And so we stand corrected that we did see Days last game.
Correct.
We
That's
saw
right. We did
Daze.
see Daze. That one, you know, it's a counter magic, but it's also just going to give you free Storm when you want it.
Oh, wow. Okay,
A
well,
stacked hand here for
yes.
Lewis, a bunch of unfair cards. So,
yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
no, I was going to say, I think we could maybe see this Cabal Interrogator becoming the entire plan for
Yes.
Caleb.
Yes, exactly.
Because we can activate for 4 and just this Storm plan, especially in the limitation of old border foil card pool, is going to fall apart very quickly if you take a couple of these key pieces.
That is the thing. It's not threat dense. It is a very easy to disrupt. Very powerful, but easy to disrupt. Oh, my. Well, that's pretty good. All right. That is a, it's a Drain Life. It's a black-white Drain Life. I can't remember the name. But
Going to get rid of that Grim Lavamancer.
we're keeping
Keep
Counterspell
this
up.
Cabal Interrogator alive. Opting to do that instead of activating the Cabal Interrogator this turn. Just keep getting it for some damage.
Yeah, I like that because it allows us to continue having Cabal
Death
Interrogator.
Grasp
Death
is
Grasp.
the black,
Thank you.
white, gold card we just saw there.
That's right. Black, white, gold. Sometimes old, but fantastic. There we go. So it's basically Drain Life, but you don't got to play black mana for it. And, okay.
Now, we've been seeing Caleb just dutifully chipping away at the life total here and does have Lewis down to 10. Now, Lewis, I would imagine, there's the High Tide. No, Mystical Tutor, I'm sorry, Mystical Tutor.
That's but this is probably getting high. This might well be getting High Tide.
May
This
well be
is-
doing that.
Yeah, that's a High
That's
Tide.
your High Tide
This
right there.
This is going to be game. Caleb does have a counterspell. That's a question. But does Lewis have? Does he have the Daze?
He has Daze.
Oh
Daze
no!
is in hand.
Oh,
We could
this
see
is
a
gonna
Daze
be
blowout here. It could be possible.
Oh, Gavalt.
I'm not even a good enough player to know. I mean, you're supposed to counter the High Tide, right? Or do you let the High Tide resolve, counter the next enabler, counter the Frantic Search with your additional
I
blue
think you
mana?
counter the High Tide.
And there's the Daze.
Oy.
It
And
has happened.
Ironically, if he would have allowed the High Tide to go through, he gets the extra mana
That's what
from
I'm
the
saying.
island
That's what I'm saying,
to
yeah.
have the days paid for with
Exactly.
the Fairy Conclave.
That's what I'm wondering, and I'm sure that Caleb made the right assessment here and realizes the High Tide is what needs to be countered.
And I don't believe he saw Days last game, right? We just saw it in his hand. I don't think Caleb's. Or did he?
That's a great question. I may have been discarded to a
we did
Frantic
see
Search.
Days. Okay. Well, again, I mean, Lewis is one of the best players in Madison. Is an amazing player. There's a lot of good players in Madison, but pro player here, fantastic. He was one of my dark horse picks to win the whole thing.
All right, well, Lewis playing a little solitaire here.
Yeah.
Caleb is tapped out. All interaction is done, and Lewis is attempting to go off. So we're going to be along for the ride and see if Lewis can make it happen. Can we get to a high enough storm count, get this Brain Freeze on the stack, and make this happen? I don't think it's deterministic from what I can see in Lewis's hand. I think we're going to have to use our Frantic Search, our Brainstorm to find the cards we need, but Lewis seems confident that that's going to work.
Oy,
Here comes the treachery.
this is tough.
I once again have a gazillion mana.
Yeah, I think we are gonna get there, but it's also interesting because you're right. He may not, but he was forced to action because of the creature. He cannot wait for Caleb to start getting some activations.
Looks like Caleb was just saying, hey, show me your hand. Are you going to do it? And yeah, the storm count is already 7. Caleb's counterspell going to counter that storm count.
Yeah.
The Daze counting towards the storm count. So yeah, Lewis pulling it off here.
but
A clinic on how to play a deck like this.
absolutely, and because so those are two sideboard cards because of Caleb's ability to interact the turn before. Although I guess it didn't matter because Brainstorm's in hand. I mean, Brain Freeze in hand, right? So it
I
doesn't really-
think we found the Brain Freeze pretty quickly there. Brain Freeze was in hand.
Yeah, so it didn't matter. Well, either way, great magic. Bless up to Caleb, our Cube Trophy leader from our winner from last year. But remember, this is only the way to get into the top 64.
which Caleb is all but a shoe-in for.
Yes, given his
I
current
would be
record.
very shocked to see Caleb not make a top 64, something would have to go horrifically wrong.
Yes.
So we will almost certainly see Caleb and our other premier players here in the top 64 on Sunday morning.
So who do we have here that is likely to make? We've got Caleb.
I mean, well, Reed Duke so far hasn't lost, unless he's lost while we've been on coverage. So
We've got Reed Duke with the undefeated day one. Not too bad at the Magic cards.
some really incredible players. Reed Duke. We have Dom Harvey, recent Pro Tour top 8 in Barcelona. We have Melissa DeTore is in the building. I'm not sure how much of the main event drafts Melissa's doing, but
another Pro Tour top 8er.
But absolutely an incredible player.
Yep.
We've got Caleb, obviously. We've got David McDarby. A similar situation. Not sure how many drafts David's going to get in, but a fantastic player. A lot of professional pedigree there.
Yep. Jarvis Yu.
Jarvis Yu is in the building.
We've got Theo Zhang. We
also got Theo McGrath,
Yep.
who you may not know that name, but this is a real young kid that has been playing with us for a while. And also,
you're talking about double staff McGrath? Oh, we know Theo.
Theo
the Feldens Canes make it rains? Oh, yeah.
Theo last year on coverage put in some work and definitely expected to make top 8 from our play group this year. Also,
yeah. Theo's the tall fellow, you might remember. Good job, Lewis.
Very tall. Also, Jay Wachowski is the Legacy Eternal Weekend champion.
Oh, wow.
He's here this weekend.
That is a
He's from our local play group
for this.
He's a fantastic Cube player, plays a lot of Cube with us. So Jay, I think, also is shooting for top 64.
Okay, and we got Zach Hill.
Got Zach Hill, of course. We have Zach Barish, another name people may not know, but a great competitive grinder. We have
amazing guy.
We forgot about Ryan Sachs.
You got Ryan
Sachs. Ryan Sachs in the building. It's just the list goes on. Tons of incredible players here. We expect to make top 64. The competition is fierce.
Yep, we've got Emma Partlow, although Emma's going to be doing commentating.
I think Emma's like us, just not going to have enough time to get in enough main event drafts to possibly make top 64. But that's okay, because she gets to be in the booth in top 64 with me tomorrow morning to talk about her Peasant Cube.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. We've got, you two are going to be an incredible team. We've got, so definitely keep watching the coverage for that. We've also got Brian Koa, one of the best deck brewers of all time, who's also one of the organizing members of this whole event. We've got some amazing people. And we also, again, have Bob Maher, one of the...
How can we forget Bob Maher?
Yeah, Hall of Famers, the Dark Confidant himself. Dark Confidant is quite confident. We've got also a myriad of people who have never even been to a Magic event before. This is their first time. So, again, just love that we run the gamut. Just the through line is incredible people. All the people here are fantastic. Who is your pick to win it all at this point? Who would you say? Reed's got Sam Black.
I mean,
we also got Sam Black.
I think if you're a betting person, the odds got to be in Reed Duke's favor.
I am a betting person.
Well, there you go. So I think Reed Duke is probably the favorite.
Okay.
I am
You got the need for the Reed?
You could barely even call him a dark horse pick, but I think Dom Harvey has a really good chance to also bring this thing down.
Dom is good at the Magics. Beat me yesterday in the Wisconsin, or 2 days ago, Wisconsin versus England.
Dom, not only a seasoned competitive player, off a recent Pro Tour top 8, but among all these really skilled players that we're talking about, I also know for a fact thinks a lot about Cube and plays a lot of Cube.
He told me, I talked to him yesterday. He said, I can't believe I missed it last year.
Yeah.
I will never miss it again. He was like, Madison, Wisconsin, October, already in my in my calendar. So yeah, he's so happy to. We're so happy to have. But again, that's the thing about CubeCon. Everyone here,
so many people could take this down
because of the love of the cube.
Yeah.
Like the people who are here really, really want to be here because it's awesome.
Right.
Because CubeCon.
And we're mentioning all the big names, but it is entirely possible this event gets taken down by some cube grinder you've never heard of from some of these cube play groups around the country.
We've got Derek
it could
Gallen,
be anybody.
Jean Baptiste. We got all sorts of amazing from all over the world, literally.
Yeah.
Jean Baptiste flew in from France just for this, from Paris, France.
And had to check his cube at the gate because they had no room for carry-on luggage, which is my personal nightmare. But the cube arrived safe and sound, don't you worry.
Thankfully, yes. Speaking of cubes arriving safe and sound, this is your inspirational cube. Can you talk about this a little bit?
This is a cube that I built last year after drafting the Old Border Foil Cube, the cube we are covering right now. I had such a fun time and loved my experience so much that I decided to build my own Old Border environment, and that's what we see in front of us right now. This is what happens when you come to CubeCon. You get inspired, you build a whole cube, and next year you come and bring it in tow, and you get to play with all your friends from last year.
And the best cubes are the cubes that make more cubes.
Of course.
They inspire the inspiration to the destination.
They're self-multiplying.
That's right. It's like that 1/1 for 3 that when you get 5 lands with landfall, whatever that card is. Pester Bester, whatever it's called.
I'll get there. Give me a second.
Green and 2 for
I know.
1/1.
I know. Chat's posting it right now. Scoot Swarm.
Scoot Swarms.
Scoot Swarm. I got there.
Scooter Booter.
Yes, still got it.
That's right.
Still got it. Great.
We're like, I know what all the cards do, but none of their names. You know what all the cards do and all their names. It's a good combination.
You're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve.
Yes.
That's Emma's role. Emma's the one that knows all the
Yes.
card names for. She's the best on commentary team at this.
Melissa. So we also have Melissa Del Toro. We're going to have her hop in. For
Bro, you're just dragging Melissa into the booth?
Yes, for a quick second. Can we pop these on? So we're talking about top 8 Pro Tour competitors. We have Melissa Del Toro here. How's your experience been at CubeCon so far?
Oh, it's been really good. It's been pretty chill, very casual, a lot of fun. I've been playing a lot of different cubes, which is like pretty interesting, different from like tournament Magic where you're just playing Modern or Draft or something.
And you've been to a lot of different Magic events over your career,
I have.
all over the world. How does this
over.
compare?
That's a really tough question. Wow.
Yes.
just put me on the spot.
Put 'em
like
on.
that.
Bro just teamed people up. Bro's like,
The
would you
hot
like
takes.
to compliment me right now?
Wow. Okay. How does it compare? Well, there's a lot of Magic playing. At other events, what I mostly notice is there's a lot of waiting around in between rounds.
That's a
you
good
know?
point.
What a great observation. Yeah.
Yeah, and then here you can just kind of hop in anything because there's just so many different cubes firing constantly. So if you're just into just getting right into a game immediately, then this is the place to do it.
Absolutely. And how has the Cube experience been for you? Have you been exposed to some? I mean, you are Magic in a lot of way, but have you been exposed to some new stuff even for someone as seasoned as yourself?
Let's see. Trying to remember what I did this weekend because there's been so many
It's all
things.
blur of joy
It's been packed
and
in.
bliss.
I think this weekend for me, I've mostly played in normal stuff. Like I played in one very old school cube. It was like Invasion Block, brought back a lot of memories.
Playing Konkavu.
Yeah, definitely. I played in Vintage Cube, which is my favorite cube probably. I did another cube that was on the Magic Online. It was one of the Magic Online featured cubes not long ago. Yep. Pretty normal. In a little bit, like I think it's starting in 5 minutes or so, I'm going to be doing an Oathbreaker cube. So that's
awesome.
that's going to be the most different thing I've done in terms of like what is a normal Magic experience like. And I signed up for another cube later on today, which is Chaos Cube.
Oh,
so
that's a fun one.
every time you cast a spell, it has Cascade.
Yep.
Probably from your hand, I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's actually just a copy of the Maelstrom Nexus, but an
token.
emblem in play. So
Yeah.
first spell a turn, cast from hand, gets Cascade, and you get to roll the dice.
So Solitude is really good. Any instant speed free spells are really good because the free spells are double. So anyway, that's my advice. But yes, we're looking forward to hearing more about it. Thank you so much for coming.
I really hope I get in that.
Yes.
Like it's not like guaranteed because you only get 8 slots, right? So if everybody is signing up for it, then I might be out of luck.
Well, good luck. I hope you get what you want.
And we do know the owner of that cube, so if you don't get in, we'll get you in.
I mean, you may not know the owner of the cube also works for WotC.
Yeah,
it's Zach Barish
I talked to
on the
him
arena team.
yesterday,
so
actually. Yep.
We know someone.
All right, great, okay, love it.
Just in case you, Melissa DeTora, need us to help connect you with Magic
your
people,
coworker.
we'll help.
Well, thanks so much for coming. Thanks for being here. We're really, really happy to have you and the rest of the WotC team here. And thanks for all you do for Magic and all you've done.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. And everyone out there, come to CubeCon next year because it's been awesome, so much fun.
And
thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. And good luck with Oathbreaker. It's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you, too. That's also through WizKids, so we're helping. That's kind of our charity thing for the year, so appreciate it very much. Doing good while we're doing well while we're doing good, all while doing Cube.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.